Greetings, people who likely found this video by mistake. Now, for the past 3 years or so, I've been doing basic accordion videos and some basic music theory videos. And I'd like to get away from that for a while and branch off into something different. I know it might be stupid and boring, but that's just the way I am. And for this video, if you don't mind, I'm going to take off my face diaper. I'm not wearing a face diaper for this video. So if you feel unsafe, just press stop or walk away. Now I want to look at grammar. Words, phrases, clauses, different things, ideas. Ordinarily, when you look at a word in daily life, we're not conscious of the deeper things. There's ordinarily more to a word than meets the eye. For example, you have this so-called coronavirus thing, right? Everybody's heard about it. But coronavirus, if you look at it, it's an anagram for the word carnivorous. You see, if you rearrange the letters, you get the word carnivorous. And at least mystically, that's very important because the virus, the so-called virus, if it's even real, will try to destroy your body or your small business if you have one, as in the case of my wife, who was basically out of business. So words are very important, and I look at them differently, and that's where we're headed here, okay? Now, years ago, many years ago, over 20 years ago, when I started growing a brain, I started to look at words differently. I learned almost nothing in grade school and high school. I learned almost nothing because I had comprehension problems. It was so bad that I didn't let anybody know. When I was in grade school, a lot of times my mom did my homework for me. And when I got to high school, it was a struggle. I mean, I got decent grades, but I don't know how. I kind of cheated sometimes too. I don't know how I even got through high school, but I had comprehension problems, which I'll talk about later in a later video. So anyway, in the past few decades, when I was homeschooling our children and reading, doing a lot of reading and trying to learn, I was fascinated by words, and I asked myself a question. I'm looking at my notes here. What's the most significant word of all the words that we have? What's the oldest word? All right, and what word performs the most grammatical functions without any change through inflection and also without any change in pronunciation? Okay, so 28 years ago when I was homeschooling the 3 children, I came up with some new ideas which I didn't present in any videos yet. Like I worked on parts of speech, clauses, verb tenses. I'll get into that later on, unless I see that no one watches these videos, and I'll just scrap the idea. But I had ideas, and just like when I studied music, I checked to see if anybody missed anything. Like, did somebody miss something? And if you watch my music videos, you'll see that I found things that I think people missed. So I went, read a lot of books on grammar. I went on the internet and read a lot of stuff, and I looked at the dictionary. I gotta find my dictionary. Hold on. Sorry. So here's the Webster's 9th New Collegiate Dictionary, and this dictionary has about roughly 160,000 words in it. Okay, that's a lot of words. So for years and years and years, I thought about this, and in my mind, I answered the question, the most significant word that I could find, I could be wrong, I'm probably wrong, was the word that. All right? We'll cut to the quick here. It's like, that's the word I came up with, that. That, see, that's the word. And it's talking about inflection. You can see here. For plural, you would have the word that's, which there is no such thing. You see? And for possessive, the word that, apostrophe S, you don't have that. You don't need it. For the comparison, you have the word thater, like taller, smaller, brighter. You don't need that with that. You don't need that inflection. Over here, regarding inflection, the reflexive case, that self, you see, compare that to himself or herself. You don't have it. You don't need it. And also the word thatted, your past tense verb would be thatted. You see, you don't need any inflection. There's no need to inflect the word. So you have a word that's beautiful without need for inflection and without need for a change in pronunciation. All right? Now you say, okay, well that's a goofy project. Why would you even bother with it? Well, I'm the guy who finds things that other people miss. Watch my music videos. I have actually found things that nobody ever thought about. Ever. And I'm just some goofy old guy who lost half his hair and the other half's turning gray, and I'm only 67. So this is what I do. I do goofy stuff. Now, let's call this video a fictional etymology, all right? Let's call it a fictional etymology because I don't know if what I'm telling you is true. It could be, but I just don't know. We're going to make up a history for the word that. We're just going to make it up. Hey, you have fake news on TV all the time. Watch the news and stories. They'll turn a good man into a bad man. They'll turn a bad man and make him into a good man. So you have that all the time. So with the word that, let's just jump back to, let's say, 100 to 400 BCE. Some people would just say BC. All right. And let's go to Psalm 46:10. That's in the Jew Bible, but well, actually it's a Jew-Christian Bible. It's called the Bible, all right? I prefer to call it the Old Covenant and New Covenant, but that's for a whole different video. So let's look at Psalm 46:10, and that says, that verse says, "Be still and know that I am God." Right? Be still and know that I am God. And the word that's in there. All right? Now, grammatically, let's look at it here. If you have the phrase, that I am God, that's a noun clause. Right? Know that I am God, the noun clause. Or you could look at it this way. Be still and know that, with that being a demonstrative pronoun. And you say, what is that? Well, that is simply the fact, the statement, the declarative statement, I am God. So here we have already, only this far back, all right, only that far back, the word that is not only important, but it's necessary, and it could have more than one meaning. Because you see what I did here? I punctuated, I put a colon in there, because in the Old Covenant, in other words, the Jew books, and some of the Christian books, most of them, there wasn't any punctuation on the original scrolls, okay? So, now, let's go back farther, all right? 600 BCE, all right, to Exodus 3:14. Moses met with God, supposedly, and said, hey, when I go back, they're going to ask me, well, what happened, and what did he look like, and what's God's name, and all these questions, and what do I tell them? And God said, regarding my name, I am that I am. So here again, the word that comes in. Now, the more modern Bibles translate this as the word who. Well, that's not correct at all, and that's a crappy translation. So God says, I am that I am. All right? Now, the word that, this is straight from God, is used in God's name. The word that is used in his title or his name. That's very important. Go back a little bit farther, 700 BCE, all right, this is hard to pronounce, to the Chandogya Upanishad. That would be 6.8.7, all right? And here we get a phrase, all right? And in that Upanishad, the great, one of the great Hindu works, there's many, the phrase is Tat Tavam Asi, all right? And that means that you are, or you are the essence, all right? Can you see that there? Okay, this is awkward because normally I don't show my head because it's not necessary. I just usually do this thing here. It's a whole lot easier, and later on I'll switch to that view. You don't need to see my head. You don't need to watch my hair fall out. Watch me age. You know, aging, we worry about the coronavirus and all this other crap. Aging has a 100% mortality rate. Nobody talks about it. Let's go back even farther. 1000 BCE, Genesis 11, verses 1 and 2. All right? I call that the Old Covenant. All right? And that verse is this. Now the whole earth had one language and the same words. The whole earth had one language and the same words. The whole earth. Now, I'm guessing, and I can't be sure, that this goes back to or refers to the first original religion called Ishvara, all right, which was the original religion that everything came from. So they could be referring to that, all right, Ishvara. And in any case, doesn't matter what the language was, the word that means that. That equal that. So you still have the word that holding a prominent position in a given language. So let's go back even farther. 2000 BCE to the Sanskrit language. They have a word here, tat. Okay, it's a pronoun and it meant that. This is an actual word. Right? Now, some people say the Tamil language is older than Sanskrit. Some people say, oh, there's older stuff. Sumerian, who cares? It doesn't matter. We know for a fact, scholars and experts, archaeologists will tell you that this is actually true, and it goes back pretty far, right? Then they had a word, zesattva, which means all that is left. All that is left. And even the word that is included in the larger word, all right? Now, the Chandogya Upanishad, the Bible, in other words, the Old Covenant and the New Covenant, Taoism, Arthur Schopenhauer, my hero, modern philosophy and modern physics all kind of back up and are discovering that the Hindu principles from thousands of years ago are actually somewhat true and meaningful. In other words, they work. So all these different intellectual avenues are kind of leading to a truthful thing. And so when we think about the word that, well, we're thinking about a truthful thing, all right? So if you don't buy any of that, you think that. If you don't buy this pitch, this fictional etymology, let's go back even farther. Let's go back to 2375 BCE. Hope I'm reading that right. Yeah, 2375 BCE. That's pretty far back, all right? Now we're in Egypt, and there's a god named Thoth, and it can be spelled differently, all right? Look at this. Look at how it's spelled here. Looks like the word thought. You see that? And let's say it stands for, at least for this demonstration, for the word thought or thinking, all right? So Thoth was the god of wisdom, writing, and hieroglyphs, all right? Then he had a mate, a female mate, a wife, and I say wife in the sense that it was an actual wife because he had a child with her, which stems from Genesis 2:24. A man will leave mommy and daddy, in other words, he'll grow the hell up, go out, find a nice girl, and they'll become one flesh, and that's a baby. The man and woman get together and they become a baby. All right? So you have Mot, right, his mate, his wife, and you could say that mystically represents matter, and she was the god of truth, balance, and order. Truth, balance, and order, all right? Now we're looking at the word that, all right? We're searching for some original roots, some meaning, some deep, deep stuff. So now, like I said, Thoth, or Tot, wherever you want to pronounce it, and Mot, all right? It's 5 letters, 4 letters, that's 9. 9's the ruler of all numbers. Watch my music videos. 9's the ruler of all numbers. All right, so they become a baby. All right, Seshat. Oh, by the way, a woman doesn't make a baby. A woman doesn't make a baby. A woman becomes a baby. When you look at an apple tree, the apple tree doesn't do this and do that and make an apple. It just becomes an apple. It's beautiful. It just all of a sudden it starts becoming an apple. So we don't make babies, but I say that because that's a common term. So Thoth and Mot, all right. What if on a higher level of consciousness or on the linguistics level, what about Thoth and Mot becoming that? All right. See the TH and the AT? Now, I say that because this is very, very spiritual and very important. The word that, in other words, the little baby that they made or became, all right, Seshat, would be to them consciously the first other. In other words, there was Thoth and Mot, and their little baby, their little child, would be the first thing that's something other than themselves. It would be the first other. It'd be like if you used Adam and Eve, let's say, instead of Thoth and Mot. Cain and Abel were the other. They were the first conscious realization of something other than themselves. All right? And if you look at it from a philosophical point of view, you could say, like from Immanuel Kant's point of view, thought could be the noumenon, matter could be the phenomenon, well, actually Immanuel Kant or Schopenhauer. But the point is, you still have a thing here, you still have an idea, you have an inclination towards something. In other words, as detectives in this project, you're being led somewhere and it's reasonable, and you say, oh, you know what, I'm going to keep looking. I'm going to keep. So instead of naming the baby Seshat, you could have actually named it syntax. Thoth and Mot got together and became one flesh, and it was called Seshat, but you could have named it syntax because Thoth, all right, Thoth, writing, Mot, order, you get syntax, you get words put together and phrases and clauses and such, and you get a meaningful sentence. So it's a beautiful thing. You say, well, what the hell is he talking about? This is horrible. Well, no, it's not. It's beautiful. Let's go back even farther. Say, oh, I don't believe that. That's a bunch of crap. But go back even to 2600 BCE to Ta. Now, some people say Ptah or Ta. Ta later became known as Ra, the sun god, or Aten, or Amun, or Amen. You see, in the Bible, you see this word all the time. They pronounce it Amen, but it's really actually Amen. It was the name of the highest, greatest God, the creator God, right? That was Ta, right? The creator God. He was the God before all things, all right? And Ta thought the world into existence, right? Ta thought the world into existence. He was just thinking. In other words, the world was conceived by thought and realized by word, all right? Now, if you want to look at it in a more modern sense, you could say, well, Ta, right, being the creator of all things, created Thoth and Mot. You see, he created them as manager gods. I hope I'm doing this right. Manager gods, so he wouldn't have to do anything. It's like Brahma and the Hindu, the gods, the creator. Once everything was created, he let the other gods do all the managing. I'm speaking simplistically because I'm not going to go into detail. It's not the proper time for that. So thoth, thought, idea, mot, word or vibration. All right, that's what word is. It's vibration. It's the Holy Spirit. It's brrr, right. So that's what you get. Now, you say, I didn't understand any of that. You say, Joey was looking for the most meaningful word or the first word, the oldest word, and think about it. If you're the only man or man and woman on the planet, and all you know is the man and woman, you know this thing, this relationship, but you're when you have a baby, when they introduce a third creature into the world, to both Adam and Eve or Thoth and Mot, it's something other than themselves. It's the first other. It's the first other brought into life by the manager gods or the man and woman, not directly from the creator God. This is the beautiful thing of conception, and this is why I'll do a video on conception and abortion and all the horrors and all the horrible things people do to women in this world. Horrible, the way they treat women, the way they... That's a whole nother video. Now, you say, okay, well, I don't buy that. I don't buy that history stuff, that crap, those ideas. Well, look at the baby. Remember Genesis 2:24. A man will leave his mommy and daddy, get out of the basement, get away from his video games, meet a nice girl, and they will become one flesh. That's a baby. And the baby's first sound is ta, da, tot, da, da, or sometimes, in some cases, mama. This is a known fact. Scientists and linguistics, linguists will all tell you these things if you study it. They say ta, da, tot, tot, da, da, like my son, da, da. And then you think back to what I said earlier. You think back, and then you have the god ta, ta, tot, the first word for that in Sanskrit. You have the word that, when the world had only one language, so that must have meant that, right? And I'm trying to wrap it up here. And so the baby with the baby ego thing going on, it only knows itself, it only wants its needs met, it cries, it wants its needs met instantly. But even still, the baby, the beautiful thing is, the baby points to something other than itself. The baby, generally, we're told, develops his very, very first beautiful, meaningful relationship with the mother. Babies will look into the mother's eyes, and you'll see the baby's pupils get larger because of all the love, and it wants to let the light in. So the baby points to the first thing that's other than itself. And the most beautiful thing is, if it's something other than yourself, and that's the whole basis of love. If you don't have something, if you don't have a living person other than yourself, you're not going to ever know love. So the beautiful thing is, the baby's first sound is pointing to or indicating that. That. The baby is saying that. So I quit for today, but I want to do a grammatical little study on the word that and show how it's used in speech, how it's used as a part of speech. I disagree with mainstream linguists and grammarians, okay, whatever they're called, and I'll go into that shortly. I got to wrap it up. It's going way too long, and I apologize for talking about really weird topics. Anyway, that's it. Hope to see you in the next video. It'd be a miracle. Good night.